Welcome back, my friends. In this video I am going to teach you about constants and data types. Constants and data types. Yeah. So what is a constant? A constant is a value that cannot be changed. For example, the number 45, the number 1.32, and minus 5.6. These are constant values. They cannot be changed. Like 45 cannot be changed into 52. 45 remains 45 forever, right? So now that you know what is a constant, let me tell you about the different data types that can be used, that are there in MQL4 programming. The first data type is called the integer. Integer is a data type that represents the numbers like 12 minus 89, 98, and all the numbers they are called integers and their data type is int. Okay, the second data type is called double. The double is a data type that represents the real numbers like 1.32, basically the numbers with a point like 0.3215 and minus 1.65. These are the numbers uh, which are carrying the point in them. They are called double. Okay, the third data type is called string. String is a data type which contains the text, the strings like my name is Bilal. This is a string value. Okay, this is a text. So this data type is called a string. There are other data type also like boolean. Boolean is a data type that holds only two values, true, false. These two values are called the boolean type values. There are other data types as well like date, time, and one more that is called color. So these are all the data types which are there in MQL4 programming language, and they are of much important. They carry more importance because any programming cannot be done without these data types. So now you know what are the different data types sorry different data types in MQL4. Later we will be using them in our programming. Before completing this video, I must tell you that whenever we'll be creating a variable of certain data type, we'll write some keyword before that variable. Like if we want to create a data type of integer, we'll write int the variable name. We can call it any name like a equals, then we set this variable to any integer type value like 45. So by doing this we have created a variable of integer type that holds the value 45, and whenever we wanted to make a variable of real value, we'll put double the variable name and the value, right? And the third data type which we'll be using, that is string. So we'll put string the variable name and the string in quotation marks, like my name is Bilal. So that's how we'll be writing our code, and that's how we'll be making our variables. So now that you know what are the constants and what are the variables, we are ready we are ready to move on. And for now, thank you for watching my video. We'll see you in. This is Bilal Haider, and this is my third video on MQL4 programming, and our focus is on expert advisors. In this video I am going to teach you about the function, and the function that is used to alert something. This function is already built in MQL4 programming language, and it can be used to alert and to make sound plus show the message in the different dialog box that will pop up. Okay, let me show you how to write it. First of all, you need to type alert and the brackets, semicolon at the end, and in double quotation marks, whatever you will write in between these double quotation marks, that will pop up whenever this initialization function will be executed. And you know that this function executes whenever you attach your expert advisor to the chart. We'll show you in a moment. So let's write something in it. Whenever this function is executed, that means our expert advisor is successfully loaded. So let's write successfully loaded. Okay, so then you save the file and then compile it. Okay, now you need to attach your expert advisor to the chart. First of all, you need to make sure that your expert advisor is on. It should be not like that, it should be like that. Okay, now you go ahead, here it says navigator, click it, and then click this icon, this plus sign right next to expert advisors, and then you look for your expert advisor. You know, I call my expert advisor my expert, so here it is. When you will attach this expert advisor to our chart, just click and drag it to the chart, click OK, and here it shows you the alert that it is successfully loaded. So this function is of most importance, because whenever we wanted to alert some user, like if the price have gone below the moving average, we want to alert the user, we'll use this function. Whenever the price has been moved above a certain value, we can use this function to alert the user, and so on. So this is of much importance. That's why I have shown this function in the very beginning of the tutorials. So keep on watching my tutorials. In next video I'll show you the different arithmetic arithmetic operations, and we'll use this alert function to see our results. So thank you for watching my tutorial. Keep watching my tutorials. See you in the next video. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider and this is my fourth video lecture on MQL4 programming. This video I'll be talking about the scope of variables. There are two type of scopes. The first one is called global scope and the second one is called local scope. The variable declared outside the functions right below these copyright things are of type global scope. For example, if I declare a scope, if I declare a variable here and let's call it lot, and let me create another variable. I'll declare an integer type variable and call it take profit, and I'll set it equals to 30. These two variables are defined outside the functions and they are of type global. They can be used inside any of these functions. I mean, if I want to use this variable inside this function, I can use it. I can change the lot size to 1.5, and if I compile this code, it won't give me any errors. It says 0 errors, 0 warnings. Okay, so also I can use it in here and I can change the lot size equals to 2, and I'll compile that and it says no errors. Okay, so the global variables are declared outside the functions at the top of the program, and they can be used anywhere within the functions. Okay, now I'll talk about the variable which are of a local scope. The variables declared inside the functions can be used only within that function, and that's why they are called local variables. For example, I type declare a variable here and I call the variable bill. I set it equals to 20. I compile it and it gives me no errors. Okay, now let me change the value of bill in this function. Let me change the bill value equals to 20, and now I compile the code. It says variable not defined. That's because the variable is defined inside this function and it can be used only within this function. It cannot be recognized by other functions and hence it cannot be used in other functions. Also, the variable defined in this function, the deinitialization function, cannot be used here in this function, and so on. So now that you know what are the local and what are the global variables, so now we will use this information in our next couple of videos, and you will find this information very useful. Before I end up this lecture, I'll also need to tell you another thing which is of more which carries some importance, and that are called comments. Whenever some programmer write his code, it is good practice to write comments. The comments are used to describe the code written below, or they used to elaborate the code. For example, if I write the complex code and I send it to my client and he wants to change something in it, he don't know what the code is for, so I must write some comment to tell him that this particular code does this thing. For example, if I write a code below, for example, it says by these are just for example, you will know what they mean later. I'm just showing you the importance of the comments. For example, I wrote this function right here and I put lots of code in between it, and the code itself is complex and it does not help anybody else to understand what it means. So I'll write comments in them that will elaborate the code. To write comment in MQL programming, we use two forward slash forward slashes, and then we write the line whatever this code is doing. For example, if I wrote the code to open a trade, I'll write here this line is used for opening a trade. Whenever this code will be compiled, these lines will be ignored and will have no impact on the functionality of the expert advisor. So there are also other notations of writing comments. For example, if the comment is in a single line, we'll use this thing. We'll write our comment like that. If the comment is multi-line, for example, if I write this and this, so this comment ends here and this will be treated as code, and when you will compile it, it will say what is this. Okay, so we need to use a different notation to write this command. We'll write a type of forward slash, then a star right above the 8 number, and then we'll write the command, and when we finish our command, we'll write the star again and the forward slash again. That will end our command. So now that you know how to write comments and what are the local and global scopes of the variables, we are ready to move on. And in the next video, I'll tell you something about operations. I thought this video is important before you learn something about operations, so I made it first. Thank you for watching my video. Keep watching my videos, and bye bye for now. Hi friends, this is Bilal Heather and this is my 5th video lecture on MQL4 programming. In this video I'll be talking about operations. There are different type of operations which can be done in MQL4 programming. In this video I'll be talking about the arithmetic operations only, although there are other operations as well, like logical operations and assignment operations, relational operations, and others as well. In this tutorial, I'll talk about the arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and others as well. So first of all, let me talk about the addition first. In this MQL programming, you can add two or more than two numbers by doing this, which I'll be writing just now. In this tutorial, I'll be adding two numbers only. So first of all, we will declare two variables. The first one we call it a, and let's assign it a value of 32. The second variable is also an integer type value, and integer type variable, and let's call it b and set it equal to 24. And the third variable which we'll call it sum, and we'll put a 0 in it. So um, before I add these two numbers and display the result, I must tell you something, that all the operations can be done within a certain function. It cannot be done outside here, right? We cannot do a sum here, okay? We must do it inside some function. So we'll do it here. We'll just write sum equals to a plus b, and this thing will take the value of a, which is 32, and the value of b, which is 24, and add them together, and the result will be stored in the variable sum. Here it is equal to 0, but after doing this operation, this addition operation, the value of sum will be changed to the value of a plus b. So let's see what is the value right now. But we can check it by calling the alert function and put the variable inside the brackets. Now we'll compile it and check if there are any errors. So there are no errors in this case. We have compiled our code. Now let's see what is the result. For checking the result, we must attach our expert advisor to the chart. So let's go to navigator, expert advisor, and look for our expert advisor, which we call my expert, and drag it to the chart and click OK. When we click OK, it will alert us the value 56, and that is indeed the sum, because 32 plus 24 equals 56. We can also do a subtraction in the same way. We just change the sign, and we can subtract the value from a to b and store the result in the sum. We'll compile it again, and the result is now a. Also in the same fashion, we can do multiplication and division. So to multiply two variables, we don't use this sign, but rather we use this static sign. The static sign does the multiplication of the two numbers. So let's see what is the result. Compile it, and there it is. 768 is the result. Also in the same fashion, we can divide two numbers, and also we can take the modulus of the two numbers. The modulus of the two numbers is the remainder of the numbers. Let's say when you divide a divided by b, the remainder of the division is the modulus of the numbers. So let's see what's the modulus, and the modulus is a. We can also sum any variable to a number like that, and we can also do it like that, 5 plus a, and we can also add more numbers as much as we want. Compile it and you'll see the result, 61. Okay. This is very basic of arithmetic operations, but they are of much importance, because we'll be adding, subtracting our lots and the stop loss values and take profit values, and we'll do lots of arithmetic stuff in our expert advisors. So you must understand this basic concept of operations. So you can try it by yourself, do several examples, use formulas and different things, like if I do like sum equals to a multiplied by a plus b multiplied by b, then let's see the result. The result is not appear because we must use the alert function right after that to alert us the result. So here you see it is 1600, and that's correct. That's all for the arithmetic operations. In next video I'll be talking about logical operations. So thank you for watching my video. See you in the next. This is Bilal Haider, and this is my sixth video lecture on expert advisors. In this video I'll be talking about increment and decrement operators. So the increment operator does one thing, and that is it increments the value of a variable by 1. For example, if the value of some variable is 20 and we apply an increment operator on b, it will increase the value of b to 21. By doing it manually, we have to write b equals to b plus 1, and that is a hard way. We have to write some extra code for this, but in a short way we can do it by just adding 2 plus plus with b, and that will do the same thing as this piece of code does, but this is a lot easier to do, to increment the value of b. So let's put this thing into practice, and let's see what we get. Compile it and let's see, and it says 21, and that's correct. Also, in the same way, we can use the decrement operator by using two minus signs consecutively with b, and it will decrement the value of b by 1. So let's see if it does. Compile it and see. Yes, it does. If we want to increment the value of b by certain number, we have to use the assignment operator. The assignment operators, they are of several types. Like if we want to add 4 in the value, we'll write it like that. So what it will do, it will add the 4 into the value of b. So the result will be 24. Let's check. Yes, indeed. Also we can do minus equal to some constant value, and that will minus subtract the value whatever we specified here from the value of b. We can also declare another variable here. We call it x, and we set the value to 3, and we can also put x here, and that it will do the same thing as it did with a constant value. 17. The beauty of using variables is that if you make a variable here and you write 100 lines of code which are using the same value. For example, if we want to do like this, b minus 4 3, and also we do something like b equals to b multiplied by 100 minus 3, and 100 lines below these lines. So if we wish to change this value to 4, we have to change it in each line of the code. So rather we do that, we put a variable x in place of the value, and just change it from here, and it will change all the it will change the values from all the lines. By doing just by changing just one line, we have changed 100 lines. So this is the beauty of using variables. And also the using assignment operators are also very useful, as we'll see in next videos, because we'll be using them frequently. So do practice this, and I must also tell you some other assignment operators, like divide equals to, multiply equals to, minus equals to, plus equals to, modulus equals to. These are all different types of operators which you can use in your programming, and they are very useful and they help you a lot. So this is all for this lecture, and in this lecture we have covered increment and decrement operators, which were plus plus and minus minus, and also we covered some assignment operators which are here. So thank you for watching my video. Keep on watching my videos. See you. Hi friends, this is my 7th video lecture on MQL4 programming. In this lecture I'll be talking about relational operators. As we have seen some of the arithmetical operations in the previous video, like the plus plus operator increments the value by 1, and also the decrement operator decrements the value by 1. So in this video I'll be talking about relational operators. Relational operators tells us about the relation between two variables, and based on that relation they return true or false. For example, if we have two integer type variables like a equals 5 and b equals 10, we can know the relation between them. Like if this operator tells us whether these two variables are equal or not, we use them like that: a equals b, and when this code will be executed, it will return us a true value, a true boolean value, if both of the variables are equal. In this case we have a equals to 5 and b equals to 10. So when this piece of code will be executed, it will return us a false value because a and b are not equal. The second relational operator is not equals to. This exclamation mark and the equal sign, when are written together, they become a not equals operator, which returns true if the variables are not equal, and it returns false if the variables are equal. So in the above case, as 5 not equals to 10, then this expression will return true. And the next operator is less than operator, and it tells us whether one variable is less than the other. A is less than b, then it will return us true. If a is not less than b, it will return us false. In this case, 5 is less than b, then it will return us a true value. And the greater than operator works with the same fashion, but it tells you whether the first variable is greater than b or not. If a is greater than b, it will return true. If a is not greater than b, it will return false. So in this case, a is 5 and b is 10, we get a false. Less than or equal to, this operator tells us whether a and b are equal or they are less. In both cases, if they are less or they are equal, it will return true. 5 is less than or equals to b. In this case, because 5 is less than b, 5 is less than 10, it will return us a true value. If the value of a was 10 and the b was also 10, we applied this operator on a and b, it will return us a true value because a is equal to b. Okay, the next operator returns us a true value if the first variable is greater than or equals to the second variable. In this case, a is 10 and b is 10, so they are equal, so this will return us a true value. And that's all. These are all the relational operators that are used in MQL4 programming, and they are widely used in making decisions. For example, let me show you the chart and describe something. For example, here we have this chart. At this moment, the moving average and the current price are equal. So if we apply this operator on moving average and the current price, and we wanted to know whether they are equal or not. The moving average equals to the current price, yes, so it will return us a true value when they will be equal at this moment. And if we will apply the operator is greater than equals to be like moving average is greater than equals to the current price, that will return us true below here, and it will return us false above here, because the current value at right here is greater than the moving average, so it will return us true. If we write like this, if A represents the current value and B represents the moving average, so the current value is equal to the moving average, it will return false, because at this moment they are not equal. So we can use these relational operators to do several things in MQL4 programming. So for now, this is we are finished with this video, and let's see what we'll learn in next video. Thank you for watching. Hi friends, this is my 8th video on MQL4 programming. In this video I'll be talking about logical operators. In previous video we have seen the relational operators, and now we are looking for logical operators. There are 3 types of logical operator. The one is exclamation mark, and that is called negation, and the second one is or operator, and the third one is and operator. The two straight lines represents the or operator, and the 2 ampersand signs represent the and operator. So let me tell you about the not operator or the negation operator. For this video I'll be using a boolean type variable, and I'll set the value equals to true by default to tell you about the not operator. So the not operator negates the value written beside it. For example, if we write like this, negation of x, it will return us false, because the x is previously set to a true value, and this operator negates the value. So if x equals true, this expression will result into a false value, and if the x is set to false previously, and we apply this operator on x right here, it will return us true because it negates the value whatever it is, and it is only applied to boolean type variables. It cannot be applied on integer type values. Okay, thank you. And the second operator is called the OR operator. It is used with relational operators, like if we have two integer values like a equals 10 and b equals 5 and x equals 3 and y equals 5. Let's remove this, and we wanted to check whether a is greater than 10 or x is less than 5. If a is greater than 10, okay, a is greater than 10, a is 10, so it will return us false, and x is less than 5, yes, this is true. So this operator in whole returns true if one of these statements are true. Okay, if only one of them one of the statement is true, it will return a true value, and if both of them are false, it will return false. If both of them are true, it will return a true value. This is important because if we wanted to place an order based on two moving averages, like for example this, let me change it to 50. So for example, if we wanted to make a trade, if either of the moving averages are crossed by the value, if this moving average was crossed, we wanted to place an order, and if this moving average is crossed, we wanted to place an order. So if even if only one EMA was moving average was crossed, we wanted to place an order. So in this case we'll use this OR operator, because we'll make two variables which represents the one moving average and the other moving average and the current price, and we'll write like that: if the price is greater than the moving average 1, or the price is greater than the moving average 2. Even if only one moving average was crossed, we wanted to place the order, and that's how it is used. It will return true even if only one condition will be true, either this one or this one, or both. It will return us false only when both of the conditions are false. So this is all about OR operator, and the next operator is AND. Let me undo that because I don't want to type more. Let's place an AND operator between them. This AND operator returns us true when both of the conditions are true. Okay, When both of the conditions are true, it will return us a true value. If even one or both conditions are false, it will return us false. So it will return true only when both of the conditions are true. For example, let me tell you when it can be useful. For example, we don't want to place a trade when only one EMA was crossed. We want to place a trade when both of the moving average were crossed. For example, we wanted to place an order right here when both of the moving average were crossed. So we'll write a condition like that. A represents the moving average 1 and X represents the moving average 2. And the third variable, let's call it C, although we have not created it, but let's call it C. The C represents the value of current price. So if the moving average, if the current value is greater than moving average 1 and the current value is also greater than the moving average 2, it should return us a true value. And if the result of this expression is true, it should place a buy order. We'll see how to place buy orders later, but in this video I only wanted to describe you about the logical operators, so how they are useful and how to use them. That was my only purpose of this video. So now that you know these, the NOT operator, the OR operator and the AND operator, so we are ready to move on about making decisions, and we'll in next video. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and in this video I'll be talking about arrays. As you have seen in previous videos that we can create variables of certain data type, and we can. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and this is my 10th video lecture on expert advisors. In this lecture I'll be talking about user-defined functions. As we have seen in previous videos that each expert advisor has 3 functions. The first thing of the function is each function has a name. For example, this function has the name and it's start. This function init, and this function init. So every function has a name. The second thing, each function has a return type. Return type is something that upon executing the piece of code written within it, what it is going to return us back. So the return type is written before the name of the function right here, and after we complete our function, we specify some value or something which the function is returning, like that. The third thing is the body of the function. The body of the function consists of the piece of code which we write between the starting and the ending curly bracket, and the function body starts from the curly bracket right here, and it ends right here. So this is the body of the function, this is the return type of the function, and this is the name of the function. Now Let's create a user defined function, and then we will be using it. For example, um, let me tell you before I create the function that there can be more than one different kinds of return types of a function. In the above cases, we have only seen only one return type, that is integer, but we can have more than one return types, and the different return types are int, double, boolean. A function can return a true or a false value, string, and void. Void means that the function returns nothing. Okay, so the the function we are going to create returns nothing, but it only displays a message. So let's write void. Void means that the function will not return anything. Let's call a function show us, and put the brackets beside the function, and then two curly brackets, which will in them we will write the code of what we want this function to do. As we only want this function to show us something, so let's call alert function and write something in it. Let's say the function show us was called. Now that we have written this function right here, whenever we'll call this function, it will be executed, and this code will be executed, and it will alert us that this function was called. As we know that these functions are already called. Init function is called when the expert is attached to the chart, and the init function is called when expert is removed from the chart, and the start function is executed whenever a new tick arrives. But when this function will be executed? So right now I'm going to tell you about it. This function can be used within these functions, and it can be used like this: show us, the brackets, and the and the semicolon. And whenever this function will be called, it will start executing the code written in it, and whenever it will come across this thing, it will say that this function should be now executed. It will go to that function, it will find that function, and will go to that function, and it will find that function right here, and then it will execute the code written inside it. And when this code will be executed, it will return back to here, and it will start executing the code written below it, like this. Okay, so the beauty of user defined functions is that if we wanted to call a function that will open a trade, we will just write a user defined function open by trade, and we will write something in it, and whenever and we will write that code that will open the buy trade for us in that very function, and whenever we will call this function, it will open a trade for us. Well, we'll see this later, but let's now execute this code and let's see what happens. Compile it. It shows us that there were no errors. Let's go and attach the expert to the chart. Navigator, expert advisors, and my expert attached to the chart. Click OK, and here it says the function show us was called. If we if we don't call this function from any function at all and compile the code, it will say no errors, but it will give us one warning, and that warning, it says that function show us is not referenced, and it will be removed from the exp file. That means that this function is created inside our file, but it was not called, so it will be removed from the executable file because it was never used. That's all for the tutorial. Thank you for watching tutorial. See you next time. Hi friends, this is Bilal Heather, and this is my 11th video lecture on expert advisors. In this video I'll be talking about if-else statement. The if-else statement is used to make decisions, and based on those decisions we place our trades. So for example, if we wanted to let me attach parabolic SAR to the chart. For example, if we wanted to place any trade based on this indicator, which is called parabolic SAR, and we wanted to place a sell trade when this parabolic SAR appears above the candles, okay, and we wanted to place a buy trade whenever this parabolic SAR appears below the candlesticks. So the condition here can be made like that: if parabolic SAR is above the candlesticks, place a sell trade. If the parabolic SAR is below the candlestick, place a buy trade. And that's how we make conditions, and let me show you how we can do it in coding. In this particular example, I won't be making the EA based on parabolic SAR, but I'll be only talking about the if-else statement. So you can once you understand the statement, you can use it everywhere with parabolic SAR, with moving averages, with any other indicator. So let's start. So first of all, I need you to tell you that this statement cannot be used outside the functions. It can be used only within a certain within any function. Okay, so let's make an if condition. So if condition is written like that: if it has a header, which is right here, and it has a body, and else, and it has a body. For example, let's make some variables. Int a equals 10, int b equals 5, and let's make a condition like if a is greater than b. You should run this piece of code, which we will write here: alert a is greater than b. Okay, else if a is not greater than b, what we wanted to what we wanted this program to do for us. So we'll write an alert function which says A is not greater than B. As you can see, this is very simple condition which is based on these two variables. We are testing those variables right here, and we are testing them by writing an if keyword in the two brackets, and within two brackets we write our condition, and we testing this condition. If A is greater than B, it should run this piece of code. Okay, and if A is not greater than B, then it will execute this piece of code. So let's test this and see. Okay, let's remove this function because we don't need this. Yeah, now let's test our expert. Navigator, expert advisors, my expert, attached to the chart, click OK, and it says A is greater than B, and that's true because A is 10 and B is 5. Now let's change the value of A to 1 and compile it, and let's see what it does. It says A is not greater than B. So that's how we write conditions using if else statement, and it's very useful because it can be used everywhere in making any expert advisor. That's all for the video. Keep watching my next videos. Next video we'll do some more examples of if else statement. Thank you. Hi friends, this is my 12th video lecture on expert advisors. In this video I'll be talking about the if else if statement. Okay, previously we have studied if and else statement, but in this video I'll be talking about if you have more than one conditions and you have to do you have to make a decision based on those conditions, what you will be going to do. For example, if we have two variables, we can have three relations between them. Either A is equals to B, A is less than B, or A is greater than B. These three conditions are possible between two variables. So in this if else statement, we can only test whether a condition is true. If the condition is true, we execute a piece of code written inside the body of if, and if that condition is not true, we execute the piece of code which is written inside the else statement. What about the other two conditions which can hold between these two variables? So we are going to do it in this lecture, and for doing that we use if else if statement. If else if statement is written like that: if this condition is true, we execute this piece of code, and for the next condition we change the if statement with this statement which is called else if statement. If A equals to B, we wanted to execute this piece of code, and we wanted to write like A is exactly equals to B, and by doing this we can put 100 conditions below this piece of code, and we continue writing else ifs if we have more than one conditions. Alerts, A is less than B, and finally we can use a else statement in the end, and which can alert us well, this can never be called, but even then we can write something in it. Okay, so compile it and let's see what we get. A is less than B. Unlike previous lecture, in this lecture we are testing all the three conditions which can be possible within two variables, and based on these three conditions we can make our decisions, and we can do certain tasks like that. Let's do a practical example, and based on these the values, let's make a variable called double, and let's set its price to price is a variable name, and let's make it like 1.5656 1.56565. okay, and let's make the EA which continue executing on the chart and tells us whether the current price is greater than the price written here, or it's less than, or it's equal to the price. So let's do it. The current ask and bid prices can be extracted from the market by writing ask or bid directly onto the chart, onto the code. They are built-in variables, and they return us the current ask and the current bid price of the currency whom the expert is attached to. For example, here expert advisor is attached to pound dollar H1 time frame chart, and it will return us the current ask price of this currency if we will attach the expert advisor to this chart. And if we will attach the chart to other currencies, it will return us their ask or bid price, whatever we wanted to know about them. So let's test our condition, like if the ask price of the chart which this expert is attached to is greater than the price we have just set it above here, it should alert us the price price has moved up, um, the price has moved up, and if the ask is exactly equals to the price, it should alert us price, the current market price equals the price we have chosen. And the third condition, if ask is less than the price, it should alert us the current market value is below the ask, is below the price we have chosen. Okay, now, and you know this start function is executed whenever a new price, whenever a new tick arrives. For example, this is 1.56375, and now this is 77 and 78. Whenever the new value arrives, this function instantly executed. Hi friends, this is Bilal Heather, and this is my 13th video lecture on expert advisors. In this lecture I'll be talking about switch statement. Switch statement is basically used for decisions making. And if you have one variable or one value, and you wanted to check something about it, and you can have more than 2, 3 or conditions about that, switch statement can be used at that time. So let's start. Let me make an integer type variable, let's call it a, and let's set its value to 23. And like if else statement, the switch statement is also used inside some function. It cannot be used outside the function. So for a switch statement, you write switch and the variable name, and then you make cases. The possible values of this variable, with those values you wanted to do something. For example, case 12. In the case this variable has the value of 12, what we wanted to do, we wanted to do alert the value of a equals to plus a, and this thing adds in this string, and it includes it gets the value of a and shows right after this thing. So we'll see in a moment about that. Semicolon in the end. Make sure you write colon when you write cases, okay, and break. If you wanted to do more than one thing with this case, you can write more code right here like this, and when you finish writing your code, you write this break statement after you write your code for that particular case. Let's make another case, and case 30, alert. The value of a equals plus a, and the value of a is higher. Let's say to differentiate from this statement to this statement, we changed the statement like that and place a break there. We can make as much cases as much we want, and if if we want to select a default value for the message, we can write like that. Default the default is the value when none of the cases were satisfied by this variable. For example, the a contains the value 5, and this is not the case, this is not the case, and so when it finds no case at all, it goes to the default value and it does whatever written in it. This is default value. Okay, so this is all about switch statement, and we will execute this in a minute. I hope you'll find it useful when you will be making when you will be testing your variable and you wanted to do several things from a variable. For example, if we wanted to select lot size for a particular trade, we can do that. For example, we can pass a moving average in this function, and we can make cases of that. If moving average price was higher than a particular value, we can change the lot size right here. For example, the moving average becomes more than 1.3363 right here. This moving average goes to right here, and at that moment we wanted to place a trade with a higher lot size. We can do that. We can we can pass a moving average here, and we write that particular value of the moving average like that, and then we can change the lot size writing the code below this case. And so for other moving average values, we can do a lot of things with this switch statement, but let's check. Hi friends, this is my 14th video lecture on expert advisors. In this video I'll be talking about loops. Loops are used to do something repeatedly. For example, if we wanted to do certain task more than one times, we can use loops for that. And also loops are very useful for getting the values from candlesticks. Like if we start a loop from this candle to this candle, we can know all the candles, high, low, open and close values, and with a short code. Okay. Without using loops, you have to create 4 variables for each candle, and you have to store those values inside them. But using loops, you can do it with very short code and very easily. Loops are also very important to loop through your opened and your pending orders. For example, if you have some orders open here like 1 2 3 4 5 6, you can loop through each trade, and if you wanted to close some trade, you can put a condition on that trade, like if the profit of the trade is greater than some integer value, you can close that trade. And there can be more benefits of loops, like if you wanted to close all of your trades, you can do that by looping through the trades, like loop through one trade, close that, second close, third close, and so on. So loops are very important. In this video I'll be talking about for loop. So also for loops are used inside some functions. So let's write our for loop inside this init function. For a for loop, you have to write for, and it has a body like that. The curly brackets represents the body. And here's the difference. You write a variable and set it equals to some value, let's say 0, and then you write a condition right after this semicolon, and then as long as this condition will be true, the loop will keep on iterating. And the third thing we write is we increment the value of this variable, so that we can execute this piece of code for a certain number of times. For example, let me dry run this code for you, and let's and of course we have to initialize this variable above here. You can also initialize the variable inside here like that, so that's a lot easy. So let's do that. Let's make an alert function, and this alert function will return us the candle open and high price of the certain candle. So let's make it the candle. Let me write the code and then I'll describe you about it. The candle I, candle I low value equals low I. So what this function will do, um, when this expert will be attached to the chart, it will start executing this init function. It will come here and it will see, it will look for this for loop, and it will initialize the value of I to 0. Then it will check the condition as I is less than 0, so it will come inside this code and execute this code. Like the candle I's value is 0 at this moment, so the candle 0 has the low value and equals the low value of candle 0, and it will display that value. Then it will come here, and then it will go from right here to right here, and it will increment the value of I by 1. Then it will check the condition 1 is less than 10, so that's true. It will come inside the body and execute this code for I's value 1. So the candle 1 has the low value equals low of 1. That will show us the candles this candle's low value. Okay, this is candle 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it will keep on doing that until this condition becomes false. When executing this code after the I value is 1, then it will go back here and increment the value of I, which is now 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 9. When the I's value becomes 10 is less than 10, no, that's false. It will stop executing the code and it will come outside of this for loop, and it will start executing the rest of the code, which will write below this piece of code. So let's compile it and see whether we get any error. No errors. And here you see the candle 0 has the low value of 1.3358. Let's see if it's true or not. I think it's true. If we zoom in a little and 58, so indeed you can see the low value is of the zero scale is 1 point. Sorry, this expert is not attached to this chart. I'm fool a little. Anyways, yeah, right here expert is attached to this chart. Let's see, when you hover over this candle, come on, yeah, low. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and in this lecture I'll be talking about another kind of loop which is called a while loop. The while loop is also used for to do some calculations repeatedly. and it does the same work as the for loop does, but it's um, it's kind of different from the for loop. And let me show you how we write it and how it's useful. So it starts with the keyword while and the brackets and the body. And unlike for loop, we only write the condition inside these brackets and nothing else. For example, let's make a variable above here, and let's call it price, and let's set the price equals 20. And now while the price is less than or equals to 40, we want to execute this code, okay? And whatever the code we write inside this particular function is executed at that is executed only when this condition is true. Whenever this condition becomes false, this loop terminates, and the control jumps out from the loop and start executing the code written below this while loop. So let's make an alert statement, and let's display the value of price. And yeah, and also we have to increment the price by some value. If we won't do this, this loop will continue executing for infinite many times, because this condition will become true every time. So here the price is 20, and when this function gets executed, when we attach the expert advisor to the chart, it comes here, the control comes here, and it looks for the condition, and it checks whether the condition is true or false. The condition 20 is less than or equals to 40. Yeah, that's true. It comes inside the body of the while loop. It starts executing the code, whatever written inside this while loop, and then it goes back to this statement right here, and it checks whether the condition is true or not. And if we won't place this statement right here, it will execute the code. It will go right here, it will check 20 is less than 40. Yes, that's true. Execute the code. 20 is less than 40. Yeah, it will continue executing the code infinite many times. So we must place some increment or decrement based on the condition we will write here. So now we have written price plus equals to 2, and that means the next time the price will be 22, and it will check the condition 22 is less than 40. Yes, it will continue until the price becomes greater than 40. So the condition will be false and the loop will terminate. So let's compile it and let's test it. Navigator, expert advisors, my expert attached to the chart, click OK. So it started from the 20, incremented the price by 2, and continued showing us the results until the price becomes 40. When the price was 42, that was not less than or equals to 40, and at that time it break the loop, and it started executing the code written right below it. So we can also do several things inside the for loop. For example, an if else statement can be written inside it. If price equals 30, we can alert price is a lot bigger, and right here we can do the same thing, plus equals to. Let's compile it and see what we get. So it does nothing, but only as you know, this was the output of previously compiled piece of code, and this is the output of the code we compiled right now. So when the price was equals 30, it alerted us price is a lot bigger, and for the rest of values it did not show us anything, because we did not specify to do when the price equals something else. So that's all for the lectures. Thank you for watching. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and in this video I'll be talking about functions with parameters. Previously we have studied the function which were not having any arguments, but in this video I'll be talking about the functions which have arguments to pass, and it can be useful in several ways. So let me start making some function right here. Let's make a function which takes two numbers and sum both of numbers and return back the sum to the function. Okay, let's start making the function, as the function will return us an integer type value. So let's write in function. You can call it any name you as you like. Okay, as this function will be taking two arguments, the two numbers which will be of integer type. So the arguments we write here like that. This represents the first number and this represents the second number, and whenever we take argument from the function, we can use them straight away. Like we are getting a number x and a number y right here, we can introduce another variable here, z, and we set it to 0, and z equals x plus y, and this particular code will sum the two values which were passed into the function, and this statement will add them together, and that sum will be stored in this variable z. So now we get our result in z. So let's return our result back to the place where this function will be called. So now we have built that function which takes two parameters, and both parameters are type integer, and it takes the values and sum them together, stores those values in Z and return that value back. Okay, we can also write any type of parameters here, right? Like double, boolean, string, whatever we wanted to. Okay, but make sure you use different variables for each of the parameter. So this and this this one and this one at the same place will be wrong. So x1 we can write it x1, x2 and t. Okay, so now let's go ahead and use this function and let's see what we get. Let's call this function initialization function. Let's introduce a variable int and let's call this variable z, as we can use the z variable here because the variable z right here has the local scope and it can be seen only inside this function, so it can be used only inside this function, and this z variables belongs to this function only. So this z and the z below written in the other function are different. So let's call our function and write any two numbers 3, 4 like that, and as you know, as I have told you right now, that this function takes two integer type values. So we are passing these two values right here, and when we will pass these two values to this function, the control will pass those values like the first value will be equal to x and the second value will be equal to y, and then this this piece of code will be executed and we will return this z variable, whatever the value it contains. So to get that return value, we have to set this function equals to some integer variable, because this function will be returning an integer variable and that must be stored in an integer type variable. So here we have written that variable. Now let's go ahead and alert it, and let's see what we get. So here we get 7, and that's indeed the correct answer because 3 plus 4 equals 7. And by making functions, it helps us to use them as frequently as much we want. Like we can also make this function for other variables, and let's make some more variables like t and y. Let's set y equals function and two integer values right here, and also t equals function and some integer values inside it, 56 and 23. Let's alert all the values together to see z and y and t. Let's compile it and see. Here you see the first z equals 7, and the second variable equals 68, and the third variable equals 79. And now you can clearly see that functions are very important, and they can be used in various ways when doing expert advisor programming. For example, if we make a function which places a byte order, and we have several conditions based on some candlestick patterns, so whenever some pattern is confirmed, we can call that by function right here, and that will place a by function at that moment. Okay, so that's all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Hi friends, this is my 17th video lecture on Expert Advisor programming. In this video, I'll be talking about predefined variables that are there in MQL4 programming language to help traders use them and make good expert advisors. Okay, so I have made the list of all those predefined variables right here, and I'll be telling you about those variables right now. So the first predefined variable, let me remove these comments so you'll see. And the first thing I must tell you about predefined variables is that whenever you will write a predefined variable, it will turn its color to pink, as you can see. And the normal variables, whatever I call the normal variable, like black, it does not change its color. Okay, so that's not a predefined variable. So let me tell you about these variables. The first one is ask. The ask is the variable that contains the current selling price. Okay, the current selling price of a currency pair. For example, here you can see that this currency pair, euro US dollar, has an ask price of 1.3423. At this price, this particular broker sells you that particular currency. Okay, and bid is the price at which the broker buys that currency. Okay, for example, if I wanted to sell, I wanted to open a sell trade of this currency pair, the broker is actually buying that currency pair. Okay, so this is the selling price of the broker, which the broker is asking you for, and this is the bid price at which the broker buys that currency, and you place a sell order. Okay, so let me place an order right now to show you what I mean. When I double click this and I place a buy order, okay, the price when it placed is the ask price. Okay, so the ask price is where the price at which the broker is selling you that particular pair. Okay, that's enough for bid and ask. Let's move on. Now you know what is bid and ask. Let me talk about point. The point is the value of a pip. For example, in this particular chart, we have four numbers after the decimal place, like 3419, that is 1 2 3 4 numbers after the decimal place. Then the point value will be 0.001. okay, if there are 5 numbers after the decimal place, the point value will be this one. So whatever the value, this point variable tells you whatever the value of the pip. Okay, next come digits. The digits variable returns the number of digits right after the decimal point. Like in this particular currency or this particular chart, we have 4 digits, so it will return us 4. Okay, if there were 5 and decimal numbers after the decimal point, then this particular variable will be returning us 5. okay, the number of bars, this variable tells us the number of bars which are there on the chart right now. For example, let me close this, and you start counting the number of these candlesticks. So whatever the number of candlesticks are there on the chart, how many, we can't count them like that, 1 2 3 4 5. So this variable returns us the number of bars. The time variable returns us the number of time. Whatever the server time is, this variable will return us. For example, right now we have 6 o'clock. okay, so this particular variable returns us the current time. If we put brackets in it and write some number in it, it will return us the particular candle's time. For example, I have written 2 in it, so it will return me 0 1 2, this candle's time. And it also depends on the time frame which you have selected. Okay, so the next variable is open. This variable returns us the open price of the candle we specified in the square brackets. For example, I have written 1 in square brackets, so it will return me 0 1, this candle's open price. Okay, the close price is the same. We write a candle number and it returns us the close price of that particular candle. The high price works the same. It returns us the high price. The low price is the same. It returns us the low price of the candle we specify inside the the square brackets. And the volume returns us the volume of the candle we specify in the square brackets. So that's all for the tutorial, and make sure you remember these predefined variables, because we'll be using them in our next couple of videos. So do practice them, do alert these variables to know about them, and that's all for this programming tutorial. Thank you for watching. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and this is my 18th video lecture on Expert Advisor programming. In this video I'll be talking about orders, how you place orders, um, um, yeah, by using MQL4 programming. What are different different kinds of orders? What are the functions associated with orders? Those functions do certain tasks. So let me start. First of all, I need to tell you that normally or manually you place any trade by clicking right here and sell or buy, whatever you want it to like. You just click it and the order gets placed. And okay, now so there there are some things associated with each order. First of all, let me tell you about them. The first thing is the symbol which represents the currency pair of which you're going to place any trade. For example, if I'm going to place a trade of euro dollar pair, that symbol will represent the euro dollar. Okay, so this is one thing that is associated with a trade. The second thing is lot size. Lot size is the volume of the trade that you are going to place. For example, if I wanted to place one lot size or whatever lot size, 0.1 or something else, that is the volume of the trade. And the third thing is the stop loss value. Stop loss is a value which is chosen by the user. If your trade went against your prediction, and you set a value at which you want to stop your loss and close that very trade, that is the stop loss value of the trade. And this is the this is one of the associated values with a trade or with an order. The take profit value is another thing which is associated with a trade. And also the magic number. We'll see how this magic number can be useful later on. And you can also put a comment for your order, and you can set a default arrow for your trade. Like if you wanted to open a buy trade, you wanted to place an arrow or any type of arrow you wanted to place on the chart at the time of opening of the trade. And the the next thing I missed one thing right here, and that is the type of order you're placing. For example, there are different types of order which you can place, like sell, buy. In case of market orders, these are the two types only. Pending orders, like buy stop, sell stop, buy limit, sell limit. These are all the types of order that you can place using MQL4 programming language. These four types are of pending orders and these types are of market orders. So these are all the variables associated with a trade, and they must be you must keep them in mind because we'll be using them when we will be placing the orders. So now let's see what are the different types of functions which are there to help us place our orders. The first function is called order send, and this function takes lots of parameters, lots of arguments. We'll see them later on, but this is the function which places the orders, whether they are of buy type or sell type, or buy stop, sell stop, buy limit or sell limit. Whatever the type of the trade you wanted to place in the market, this function allows you to do that, and we'll see in next couple of videos how to do that. And the next function which are used to facilitate coders to do several things with the trade, that is the order close function that closes a market order. Upon calling this function and passing some arguments, we can close a certain market order, and this can be very useful. For example, if we wanted to close a buy trade when the moving average, the current price moves below the moving average right here, we wanted to close all of our buy trades. So this function can be used for that, and also this function can be used for that. These two functions are very important, and they are used to close any trades. We'll see them later on how to use them. Order delete function is used to delete any pending orders, and the last function that is called order modify is used to modify the trades, like their take profit values, their stop loss values, and other things as well. So this function allows us to modify our pending or market orders. That's all for the tutorial. Thank you for watching. Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider, and in this video I'll be talking about how you can place any type of order, whether it is a buy order, sell, or any pending order. So let's start. For to place an order, you need some variables. The first variable we're going to create is double lot equals 0.01, or whatever whatever the lot size you wanted to set for your trade. The next thing is the take profit value in pips, that will be 40 pips. And the next variable is stop loss, let's set it equals to 40 pips. And the next variable we are going to create is called magic, and